Hey guys, it's Benjamin with Benjamin's Exotics, and in today's Morph Guide, we're going to be taking a look at the Mojave ball python. And before we actually talk a whole lot about what actually makes a Mojave, how Mojave is different from a normal, and how Mojave reacts with other combos, I wanted to quickly talk to you guys about why I truly believe Mojave is the best, and if not the best, one of the top 3 genes that you can currently get in the ball python market for under $100. So reason number 1 is fading or muddying out, and basically dulling down as an adult. Now this is something that lots of pet owners and breeders and keepers alike are starting to really focus on and realize that just because a ball python morph looked cool as a baby doesn't mean it's going to look very good as an adult. There's some genes out there or some gene combinations that look fantastic as babies but really dull out and muddy up as adults. And Mojave, fortunately, as a single gene morph, does not suffer from this problem nearly as much as things like pastels, especially things like lessers, which are really the biggest competitors to Mojave in the ball python market. And while a baby will be kind of more rich in color, like any snake or any reptile for that matter, than an adult, they don't dull down and they still hold fantastic colors as adults. Reason number 2 is that not only are they actually a pattern and a color mutation, but there is such a wide variety of combos that Mojave works so well with. Now when I say they're not only a color and pattern mutation, I'll explain that a little bit more later in the video, but when we look at the morphs you can make with Mojave, it's really some stuff that's truly fantastic. When we look at like Mojave GHIs and the different combos you can make with that, Mojave clowns, Mojave with banana, and especially Mojave with Ultramel, Mojave really brings something to the table that most other morphs don't. And while Mojave isn't really what I would consider at least a bread and butter gene, like let's say pastel or banana, it really is a specific gene that when you put with the right combos can make some of the most amazing ball python morphs we've ever seen on the market today. And number 3, and truly my most favorite thing about Mojaves, is just the huge variety of colors and flavors that they really do come in. Now, we talk about polymorphic and polygenic a lot with ball pythons and stuff like that, but Mojaves are really just insane with the amount of colors and different, I guess you can call them flavors, that they do come in. You can take a Mojave, just a single gene Mojave, no other genes attached, and you can get them really dark, like black, in terms of the velvety kind of color you have on their back. You can get them bright, like a cream. You can do all kinds of stuff with Mojaves. I'll actually really quickly kind of go through and you guys can see just a bunch of images of a bunch of really cool Mojave genes, and all of these things, as you can see, are completely different from one another. And again, these are all the exact same gene. They're all Mojaves. So you could take just one gene, one Mojave, and you can have 10 in your collection that all look completely different from each other and will make completely different things when combined with other morphs. Now before I show you guys any Mojaves at all, babies or adult, I want to really quickly show you guys a normal. Even if you guys probably know what a normal already looks like, I think it's good to kind of get a refreshed look at a normal ball python so you can really see the huge difference from a normal and a Mojave. So down here we have just my big normal male Zucchini. Again, this guy's like 7 years old, a really awesome snake, and you can see like a traditional normal, nothing too fancy. The colors aren't actually coming out great on camera right now, but basically kind of brown, you know, get some black. If we take him out and put him on the floor, might get a little bit better lighting. You can see pretty traditional normal, and it's nothing too crazy for a ball python to look like. Now if we put this guy back and we take a look at the Mojave female, you are, I think, automatically going to see a huge difference. And again, we're working with adults this time, and then we'll show a baby after we show the adult, just to show you guys the comparison of how they really don't fade out too much. So there's a normal, right? And then we look up here in the adult rack, and this is what an adult Mojave can look like. Again, there is a lot of, you know, polymorphic, polygenic, whatever you want to call it, traits in these, but look at that, if the camera will focus. This is my adult Mojave female. And you can see right off the bat, you see all of this really nice velvety black going along the sides of this snake. The head really has some nice velvety black. That's the only way I can really describe it, is just like velvet color. And all of this really, really nice, like gold. It's kind of a really hard color to describe. It's not like a pastel gold. It's not a banana yellow. It's just a really, really nice, basically Mojave sandy color going down the back of this snake. Now, not only that, with all this added extra black are we looking for on a Mojave, but we're also looking for alien head changes, basically, or really crazy alien heads. Not like a black pastel or cinnamon where they're kind of binded together, but you can see right there, the alien head is like separated from its basically root, if you want to call it that. That's kind of going up the snake's belly. Right here, another, just a tiny alien head, another tiny alien head there. All of the alien heads are really, really weird on Mojaves, and you can see like a really cool shape right there. I've actually seen some that look like a Mickey Mouse head. I haven't produced any yet, but hopefully someday you'll get like an ear here, and like a face, and then, you know, Disney will probably sue you for copying their logo. But you can see really, really awesome colors on the Mojave, and it's really interesting. Now, this animal has a stripe. I don't want you guys to think that this is genetic. I've bred this snake only for one season so far, and none of the babies came out with a stripe looking just like this. Again, this is all kind of, you know, the polymorphic, polygenic traits. Some Mojaves will be like this, some of them won't. Again, it's just kind of a roll of the dice, and you can line breed for certain qualities, but this is something that I do not think you can line breed for. It's probably just something really cool that happened in incubation with, you know, temperatures or whatever might be. But you can see, as an adult compared to a normal, really nice. Now let's take a look at one of the babies. This is 190101, which was the first baby to hatch out from the clutch. I believe it was the first baby to hatch out from the clutch that we had with this girl, and you can see, take a look at that. This is why I really think Mojaves are such a fantastic gene. Compared to a normal, just excellent. You can see, we already have, not only do we have like crazy alien heads, but I should have shown you on that female. She has a stripe, so it's not the best example, but on lots of Mojaves, you'll see where the alien head kind of combines with this, and I don't know if there's any more on this snake. You can kind of see it right there a little bit, where the alien head like should have been, but it kind of blended with that. And the other Mojaves are a little bit better examples, but right there, you see that a lot with your Mojaves. And as you can see, like I said, with the stripe, not genetic, unfortunately, so that's not something we can really line breed for, but really, really nice colors. And again, this animal is more rich than its adult, or I should say than its mother. As you can see, just more rich in color, but they don't dull out, which I love. They don't get gray. They still hold their colors and patterns nicely, and again, the babies are just a little bit more rich in color. But as you can see, look at the crazy alien heads on that snake. Really, really distinct. And actually, look at this. I should have noticed this. Look at that pattern right there. That is actually awesome. I don't think I've ever noticed that yet on this snake. But you can see the alien head's kind of missing right there, and it kind of blends with the back on this. It's just so incredible what you can really see in even a single gene Mojave ball python. And I mean, right off the bat, I mean, you can just really see, I mean, all these things I just showed you guys, I mean, just completely different from a normal, and you still have all of this just really cool color on this snake. And there's no other genes. Like I said, this is just a single gene Mojave. This is really awesome. Now I will pull out a normal really quickly for anybody that wants to know like the really, you know, nitty-gritty about the specific differences. I mean, you can see with the color and everything, but if we go ahead and we look at like a normal, let's go with like, let's see, 1902-03 right here. Here's a normal that just hatched out within the last 2 weeks. This is a little baby like that. Now this is of course much smaller, but again, you can see, I mean, this is probably great as well. From the adult and everything, you can see baby normal, also more rich than like the adult normal, but still we're getting like this really, really cool coloration. The lighting is actually not really being the best right over here, but as you can see, a lot more black on the Mojave, and just the coloration is completely different. Now there is something interesting I want to talk about with the belly of these snakes, and this is something that is kind of weird because you don't actually see it with the babies. If we take a look at a baby, so let's actually put that little guy right there. Let's look at the baby belly of a Mojave, or I should say the belly of a baby Mojave. You can see, like most other morphs, if the camera will focus, is basically, you know, pretty standard, just white on the belly. Now, this is a small difference on some Mojaves, but a big difference on some. So as you can see with the baby, as they come out, this is how they all come out that I've seen, white belly. okay, compared to like a normal. Okay, let's actually make sure we're getting these guys in the right tubs. Compared to a normal, which is going to have a little bit of coloration. Not major, but if we can get this little girl to show her belly. Again, you can't even barely see it, honestly, if the camera would focus. Come on, this thing's killing me. You can see there's a little bit of like black freckling, you know, whatever you want to call it, on the belly. Just the little black right there. And this, again, as the babies get older, they'll get it like more and more defined. So if we actually look at an adult normal again, that one that I just showed you guys, this guy right here, if we look at the belly, instead of being white, all of that kind of, you know, gray, I don't want to call it checkerboarding, but, you know, you can see there's gray on the belly of that snake. Some will have more, some will have less, but basically all normals will have that gray. You don't have on the Mojaves as babies is the key word. But if we take a look at like this adult female right here, and we look at her belly, it's a completely different story. Now again, camera isn't giving us great lighting on this, but there we go. That's actually pretty good for the camera. You can see all of that gray, like sort of leaching through. It looks like it's almost a stain from like newspaper or something, but it is not. This is completely genetic. I freaked out because when this animal had been about, you know, 6 months old or something like that, all of this gray started coming through. Now here's the weird thing. I do not notice this gray on all of the Mojave adults. I've seen a lot of adult Mojaves, and most of them have a little bit, just a tiny bit. You know, they'll have a very, very small amount of gray, not even really noticeable. Most people would say it's, you know, just pure white, but when you really look at it, it is really a little bit gray. We can see if I can get a picture right now of Mojave's bellies. They're, you know, tiny bit gray, but not like this. Okay, however, the darker the Mojave with all of this black on the back, and the more kind of velvety it is, the more gray I see on the belly. But it's really weird because, like I said, there's an adult, but if we look again at this baby that's doing some acrobatics and trying to escape, if we look at the baby, we see basically none of that grain, which is just, to me, really, really interesting. And it's not even just on the belly, even the neck. You'd think, you can see the neck, pure white, just bone white. It's like, you know, you wouldn't think that that animal would develop that as an adult. But if we look at this girl's neck as well, not the whole part of the neck, but a little bit on the neck right there, you can see you still have a little bit. If the camera would focus, let's see if we can actually kind of zoom in a little bit. Let's look at the neck on that girl. Come on, it's killing me. You can see just a little bit of gray leaking through, and actually a really big gray streak right there on that snake's neck. Again, it's just something really interesting in the Mojaves that you don't notice too much. But again, like I said, the correlation that I have seen is that the more black on the Mojave, you get more of that in the belly. If you have like a really brown, you know, kind of gold Mojave, you normally don't have barely any blackish gray on the belly. It's just so interesting, and that's something that I have, you know, found over the years with quite a few Mojaves that I've kind of done the visual test on, and it's just really cool to see that color change from a baby to an adult. Now, without making this video too long, I also do want to show you guys just a little bit and a little insight on how Mojave reacts with the other genes. Again, this isn't a really, really detailed, I guess, analysis or description, but I just wanted to show you guys how it really does react differently than something like pastel with things like spider. So let's go ahead and look at some of the clutches that I have produced so far this year. We have 1901, which is basically, you know, 2019 clutch 1, and 1902 is the basic, you know, I guess setting, if you want to say, for the numbers on these snakes. So we have 1901 through 1901-10, and then the rest of that is the other clutch. So let's, first of all, I showed you guys the basic Mojave. Now let's take a look at what happens when we we put that with another gene, and we want to see how that reacts. So let's go ahead and we're going to look at two genes right here. We have 1901-01, and we have 1901-05, and then we're also going to grab, let's see, what's a good candidate? Let's go with 1901-09. Okay, these are a bunch of the babies from the clutch, and I just want to show you guys how they interact and kind of combine with other genes. And this was, of course, that Mojave girl bred to a spider. Now, this is an update video on this clutch that'll be coming out pretty soon, but this is just to show you guys how this stuff reacts. So again, this is the basic Mojave. Really, really nice. Coming up at the camera, look at that. Look at that acrobatics and balance. Okay, go in there, little buddy. And now let's look at the gene that it was put with, which is the spider. Now you can see these cages are wrecked and need cleaned, but here is the spider. So you can see with the spider, we're getting, you know, all this really clean. I breed it to be clean. It's specifically line bred for that. Not all spiders are like this, but not much spotting, you know, maybe one little spot there, and this really, really cool pattern. And again, look at the head wobble on this. It's so, you know, crazy. Not really. I mean, you can see this snake is just absolutely great. Barely any head wobble at all. That, of course, is sarcasm. I think the, you know, spider head wobble thing is kind of really overdone, but that's for another video. But you can see, basically, these two genes put together. Now, here's the cool thing. Like we talked about, the Mojave having the completely, you know, busy pattern, that is also reflected onto the spider, okay? So here is a Mojave spider. Really, really cool. You can see we have all of this really cool, like, cream, blushing, you know, whatever you want to call it, color, the basically sandy color coming from the Mojave, and the same pattern of the spider. But instead of just getting the spider pattern, you're getting all of these spots and all of this really cool, you know, kind of jaggedy look down the snake's back, and that is all an influence of the Mojave. And let's see if we can get a, you know, pretty good shot of this. Hopefully this is looking pretty good for you guys. Again, the camera is not picking up the best colors, but you can easily see what kind of stuff this does. Now, let's look at something like pastel, because pastel is also a kind of busying gene, right? This isn't a video on the pastel. We'll actually have the pastel morph guide linked below, but if we look at like a pastel, right, we have one, actually we have one right there, but we also have one up here that's even a little more busy on the pattern. You can see pastel is also going to change the pattern just a little bit, like the Mojave will, but not as much. So when we put that with the spider and we produce something like a bumblebee, this is 1902-01, and that little Mojave spider right there is going to light me up if I stick my hand in there. You can see, here we go, I'm about to get lit up and these guys are getting crazy. Come on, look at this little guy. Boop, come on, there we go. If we look at a bumblebee, right? Come on. The one downside of these hides is they love to grab on. Here's a bumblebee. Now you can see, because the pastel has a little bit more of a busy pattern, we do have some more spots on this bumblebee, but if you compare it to the Mojave spider, it's not nearly as drastic. I mean, hopefully you guys are going to be able to see this, but let's take a look at the Mojave spider. Right? You can see, really, really crazy. Look at all this crazy, you know, I guess, weaving. Basically, it's hard to describe it, but you get on the Mojave spider that you don't have on the traditional spider. When we look at the pastel, look at this guy. Just crazy. When we look at the pastel version of that, the pastel spider or the bumblebee, you can see we have a little bit of it, but not nearly as crazy as the Mojave spider. And these tiny little spots that we get on the bumblebee compared to the thickness and the definition of those spots in the Mojave spider, again, that snake's gonna light me up. You can really, really just see how much of a difference Mojave can make with the busyness when you put it with other combos. So hopefully you guys did enjoy, and most importantly benefit from today's video. Again, this is a video that I wanted to do for a long time, and hopefully I made it short enough and sweet enough for most of you guys to be able to understand not only how to identify a basic morph Mojave, but also a little bit of insight into how it reacts when you put it with other combos. If you guys did enjoy today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.